Hi, good evening, everyone. Thank you very much for inviting us to join in your meeting today. My name is Olive Hamilton Andrews, and I coordinate a project run by Redbridge Council for Voluntary Services, known as the Community Cancer Champions Project. Community Cancer Champions are members of the local community who have been trained. We've done our training with Cancer Research UK, and we have been trained to deliver some basic messages around cancer screening and around the signs and the symptoms of prostate cancer and lung cancer. So we're here to share with you this evening why it is important for us, all of us, males, females, regardless of our ages, to take care of ourselves and to try to have a healthy lifestyle so that we can do our best to reduce the risk of getting cancer. With me this evening, there are two cancer champions. They'll introduce themselves. We'll be taking turns to present to you. And we have our technical support person, Binal, who's making sure that we see our slides, the correct slides, and our videos on time and on cue. There is, we want to ask you for your help, actually. Towards the end of the session, we want to ask for your help in running a little experiment. We need to, because we're a funded project, we need to feed back to our funders about the effectiveness of these sessions. And we're asking for your help to trial a method of just filling in the evaluation form in real time. When we come to that point, we'll ask for it. But what that really requires is for you to put your comments about what you think about what we've said to you in the chat. And you're going to send it to our technical person, who is called Binal, on the chat. Just address your comments to her. But we'll explain more about that when we come to it. We really appreciate your help with doing that. It's the first time that we're doing it, so hopefully everything should work. Okay, so let's get started with the actual presentation. So first slide, Binal. We want to start by just finding out what you know about cancer, a little bit about what you know about cancer. So I'm going to ask Rakesh, who is going to be our quiz master for this section, to just start off with our quiz time. Over to you, Rakesh.
Yes, hello, good evening, everybody. My name is Mr. Rakesh Gadhavi, and I am working with the Redbridge CVS. I am a cancer community champion. What we are going to start off with is a quiz. I'll give you the opportunity to even think about the answers once I've gone through each of them. Right, so the first question is, recent data show that there were 1,200, 750, 1,400 cases of cancer in Barking and Dagenham, Havering, and Redbridge. What do you think the number is for each borough? So, A, Barking and Dagenham. What do people think? Any takers? Right, the answer is 750. B, Havering. The answer is, unfortunately, 1,400. C, what do people think the answer is for this one? Redbridge, 1,200. Okay, right. Now this brings me to the second question. Which cancer is by far the most common cause of cancer death in the UK? Do you think it is A, prostate cancer, B, bowel cancer, C, lung cancer, or D, breast cancer? I would like you guys to think about this. Yes, the answer is C, lung cancer. accounts for around 1 in 5 of all cancer deaths in females and males combined for the 2017 statistics. The next most common causes of cancer death in the UK are bowel, 1 in 10, then prostate, and then breast cancers. This brings me to the third question. 1 in 2 people in the UK will develop some form of cancer during their lifetime. Do you all think this is A, true, or B, false? You'll be surprised. 1 in 2 people in the UK will develop some form of cancer during their lifetime. This is unfortunately true. So now we are on question 4. Almost 4 in 10 cases of cancer can be prevented. Do you think this is true or false? Yes, 4 in 10 cancer cases can be prevented by changing your lifestyle, e.g. stopping smoking, eating a healthy diet, and being more active. So there's a lot of optimism here. Right now, I'd like to give this presentation to my colleague Olive, who will further it down the road. Thank you. Olive?
Thanks, Rakesh. Is there a fifth question? It's on the screen.
Oh, yes, there is. Yeah, sorry. Okay, my oversight. Okay, question 5. Okay, which of the following increase your risk of getting cancer? A, active smoking. B, passive smoking. C, drinking alcohol. D, not eating enough fruit and vegetables. E, being overweight. F, being sunburned more than once as a child. G, being 70 or older. H, having a blood relative with cancer. I, human papilloma virus, also known as HPV infection, a virus spread by skin-to-skin contact. It causes a range of conditions. J, not enough exercise, low levels of physical activity. That's a lot of information. What do everybody think? The answer is to this. Yes. The answer is K, all of the above. Lots of things to remember here. Right. Okay, so this is the issue. Smoking, insufficient physical activity, alcohol, diet, overweight and obesity, and infections account for a high proportion of cancers worldwide, as they do in the UK. A list of local sources of information and support to help to reduce the impact of these risk factors is included at the end of this presentation. Olive?
Thank you, Rakesh. Right, so just picking up from the Rakesh's questions, we want to start this evening by considering what exactly is cancer. So we all know that our bodies are made up of cells, and the pink areas represent cells that are always multiplying in order to keep us healthy, to keep us growing, to keep us fit. But sometimes these cells start multiplying uncontrollably, and we get that blue area where we see cells just multiplying, and they form what's known as a tumor. A tumor can keep on multiplying, and cells actually start breaking off, and they migrate in the bloodstream to other parts of the body, and so we get a cancer spreading. Next one, please. So we've already found out from the quiz that the four most common cancers in the UK are breast cancer, prostate cancer, lung cancer, and bowel cancer. And these 4 cancers account for more than half of all new cases of cancer that are diagnosed in the UK. So we've also heard from the quiz that 4 in 10 cancers are preventable. There's some things that we can do that will, for the most of us, reduce our risk of getting cancer. However, some of us will, unfortunately, even if we do all these things, still get the condition for one reason or another. We want to focus this evening on what we can do to reduce the risk of getting cancer. And to some extent, we can all do some of these things. So in this diagram, we see 7 things that we can do to cut down on that risk. The main ones, you can tell from the size of the circles, that gives you an idea of how effective these interventions are. So the first thing, since lung cancer is the most common cancer, 70%, more than 3/4 of, well, almost 3/4 of all lung cancers are linked to smoking. Therefore, the primary thing that we can do, or that our relatives can do, is to not smoke. Not reduce smoking, is to just be smoke-free. The next thing that we can do is to keep a healthy weight. And we can keep a healthy weight by looking at what we put inside our bodies, what we eat, and what we drink. So we're going to go on to look at, in a little while, at some of the things that the NHS recommends that we should eat, and some of the things that it recommends that we should eat less of. And if we drink, if people consume alcohol, if our friends, relatives consume alcohol, the recommendation is to drink less. No more than 2 units of alcohol in a day, and certainly to have 2 alcohol-free days per week. To measure a unit of alcohol, most alcoholic beverages are mandated to provide an idea of how many units are in a container, in a bottle, in a wine glass that is displayed on the container to inform us. We too can take care of how we look after ourselves in the sun. And it might surprise us to know that we not only have to take care when we go to sunny places on holiday, but also in the UK, we need to take care, because you can still get sunburned, especially if you have been sunburned before, on cloudy days in the UK. So the idea is that once we are out in the sun, that we need to take care and cover up with hats and relative clothing appropriately. And we need to also be more active. Up to 30 minutes a day, 5 days a week of exercise is what is a recommendation. You do something that gets you breathless, and you keep doing that consistently, 150 minutes in that week. So we want to look a little bit more about eating. One of the things that we can do is to make sure that we eat a high fiber diet. And we're going to look in a little bit more detail at what that means. So the NHS has come up with what a healthy plate looks like. I'm just going to look in a little bit more detail at that. So a healthy plate will have, the majority of that plate will be taken up with fruit and vegetables, a variety of fruit and vegetables, and carbohydrates. Let's look at the fruit and vegetables. In that little green section there, we see a variety of colors. We see lots of green. So dark green leafy vegetables will give us lots of minerals and vitamins that we need to keep healthy. Different colors, the purples, the reds, the yellows, oranges are good for us. The carrots, all of these things help our digestion, and it helps us to get the nutrients that we need to keep healthy, to keep our gut working. We get a lot of our fiber from this area. The other place that we get the fiber from and the energy is from the carbohydrates in the yellow section. And in this section, we are encouraged to eat more wholemeal versions of bread, rice, pasta, and other starchy carbohydrates. Less of the white, the highly refined, very processed forms of these foods, and more of the foods that are closer to the natural form of these foods are recommended for us. The pink area is where we have our proteins. So in there we have our meat, we have our beans, the legumes, fish, eggs, and other forms of proteins. Note the proportions. The meat shouldn't take up the majority of the plate, right? It's just that small section. The dairy section, the butters, the milk, be they from dairy milk or non-dairy forms, the almonds, the oat milks, vegetable milks, take up an even smaller proportion of our plate. And the oils, the fats, the butter is just a sliver. So it stands to reason that a plate of chicken and chips with nothing else on it, eaten regularly, is not a good idea for digestive systems. We need a bigger balance, and we need to mix things up and have the proportions right. Okay, getting up to the water, liquids. It is recommended that we have about 2 liters of liquid per day, or 6 to 8 glasses. A proportion of that will be can be made up of tea and coffee and sugar-free drinks. The drinks that we buy in cartons, the orange juice, the pineapple juice, the apple juice, that should really be limited to about 150 mils per day, right? So you do not drink a glassful or a couple of glassfuls of boxed juices, because they're full of sugar, and that is not recommended. The snacks that we eat, the crisps, the cookies, the cakes, we see there are things like the salted tomato ketchup. These things are high in sugar. Therefore, we need to eat less of them and less often. And if we look at the labels, all foods that are processed in this country have to be labeled to tell you what is in there, the proportion of nutrients that are in that particular item. So where there is green, just a stoplight system, green means that you have, is okay. It provides a good proportion of that, a low proportion of that particular version that's healthy for you. Where it's red, it means that it's really high. So in this instance, it's telling us that this particular item, if we have 100 grams of that item, it will provide almost 40% of the sugar that we need for that particular day, the recommended amount of sugar that we need for that particular day. And bear in mind that most packages have more than 100 grams of whatever the food is in it. So we need to be really careful about how much we consume. In this instance, we also see that there's an amber salt warning, that it says that you need to also be careful, because this food alone, 100 grams, will give you almost 15% of the salt that you need for the day. So it's a good idea to start looking at the labels on the foods that we eat. Next one, please. Right. So as you've said before, locally in this area in East London, if we want more information about any of these items, how to live more healthily, the NHS produces a range of resources on its Live Well website, and the link is there. Barking and Dagenham, Havering and Redbridge all have portals similar to the NHS, but they have links where you can get free local support with things like exercising, advice on healthy eating. For people who need to stop smoking, you can check out what's happening locally for you and see what is available. Next one, please. So there's some things, what we have just discussed are things that you can do We all have control over those things. The other thing that we can do to reduce our risk of getting cancer is to attend for screening. Screening identifies healthy people who have no symptoms for a particular condition. It allows you to be tested and gives you early warning about the things that are changing at a cellular level in your body that might indicate that cancer cells are present. So often, if we screen, if we get early warning, then it means that we can take more informed actions and some decisions. If we can pick up the cells early, then it means that some deaths can be prevented, and thousands of deaths are prevented in the UK by having yourself screened. The thing to notice, though, is that screening is not a diagnosis. And throughout this presentation, we're going to be referring to a mantra that if you have anything in your body going on that is not normal for you. Next slide, please. If it's not normal for you, then go and get it checked. You don't wait until you get an invite for screening. If you feel a lump somewhere, if you have a, if things aren't working with your bowel movements, if that's, they're different, anything that looks different for you is not normal, don't delay, get it checked out, go and visit your doctor. So for the rest of this presentation, we are going to be looking at a range of screening tests and how to spot the different types of cancer early. Next one. The NHS in the UK screens for 3 types of cancer. It screens for breast cancer, for cervical cancer in people with a cervix, and it also screens for bowel cancer. Now, I know that you're gentlemen here this evening, and you might ask yourself, why would we be looking at breast and cervical cancer as part of this presentation? Men and women get bowel cancer because you have bowels, everybody has bowels. Men also get breast cancer, although is not as common, but the signs are the same. People with a cervix, for those of us who have partners, is helpful to know, because sometimes when we're going through situations, the people who are closest to us are the ones to spot those signs. So the messages that we'll pass on this evening, please be sure to pass on to your partners, and please just make the best use of the advice or the information that you receive this evening. So at this stage, I just want to hand over to Rasheedah to talk about bowel cancer. Unmute yourself.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. I'm Rasheedah Atinuke, Dina. I'm a community cancer champion with RV-CVS, and I greet my fellow brothers of Vanguard. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. May the peace and blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala be upon each and every one. I'll be taking you through bowel cancer. Bowel cancer. It's also called colorectal cancer, as seen on the slide above. It affects the large bowel, which is made up of the colon and the rectum. Most bowel cancer develop from precancerous growths called polyps. Next slide, please. Bowel cancer is a common type of cancer found in both men and women. About 1 in 20 people will get it during their lifetime, and it starts in the large bowel, the colon, or the back passage called the rectum. Bowel cancer survival is improving and has more than doubled in the last 40 years in the United Kingdom. If it's diagnosed early, more than 90% of bowel cancer cases can be treated successfully. Screening. Screening can help detect bowel cancer at an early stage when it is easier to treat. It can also be used to remove growths in the bowel called polyps, which grow over time. You will be sent a home testing kit in the post when you turn the age of 60, and after that, every 2 years, you would always receive a testing kit up until the age of 74. We will show you a video that will give you a better explanation. Next slide, please.
Thank you for opening your bowel screening kit. Screening is your choice. The test is simple to perform, hygienic, and only one sample is required. To take part, follow these simple steps. Please take time to read your letter and the instruction diagram on the lid. The sample bottle can be easily removed from the tray when you are ready to take your sample. Using a pen, write the date you took the sample clearly on the sample bottle. Take your bowel screening kit with you to the bathroom. The instructions are on the lid of the box. Use a container to catch your poo. Do not let your poo touch the toilet water. Twist open the bottle and use the sampling stick to collect the sample. Scrape the stick back and forth along the poo until all grooves are covered. We only need a little bit of poo to test. Please do not add extra. Put the stick back in the sample bottle and push down on the cap to close it, ensuring you hear a click. Please do not repeat the collection and wash your hands after use. Make sure you have written the date you took the sample on the bottle. Put the sample bottle in the prepaid return envelope and peel off the tape to close. Please post your sample back to us as soon as possible. You can recycle all leftover packaging. Thank you for providing your bowel screening sample.
Thank you, Binal, for the video. You should receive the results of your test in 2 weeks. If the result is negative, then there's no need to worry. No cancer cells have been detected. And you just have to wait for your next appointment in 2 years' time. Next slide, please. Symptoms of bowel cancer. The symptoms of bowel cancer can be subtle and do not necessarily make you feel ill. However, it is worth trying simple treatments for a short time to see if they get any better. More than 9 in 10 people.
Rasheedah, we can't hear you.
Or sometimes abdominal pain, blood in the poo without other symptoms of bile, abdominal pain, discomfort or bloating always brought on by eating, which sometimes results in a reduction in the amount of food eaten, or weight loss, and also constipation, where you pass harder stools less often. It's rarely caused by serious bowel conditions. Most people with these symptoms do not have bowel cancer, but a combination of more than one or two could mean something to worry about. We will be showing you in the next slide. Please, next slide, please. Poo changes and size of cancer. In the first picture we have healthy poo shape. This looks like a smooth sausage or a sausage with cracks in the surface. Then we have the change of poo shape in the toilet. A mushy or watery poo, as we can see, or if we notice blood in poo, and this would have to mean more than a few drops of bright blood, still contains darker red blood and can appear black like tar. So from the picture, we can see the signs and changes that can occur if it's bowel cancer. Our mantra, once again, we all know our body systems. If it's not normal for you, get it checked. Please don't delay visiting the doctor. Thank you. And for more information and advice, you can call the free bowel cancer screening helpline. If your kit doesn't arrive on time, if you haven't heard any results after 2 weeks and you just want to find out what the situation is, if you want to know more about the screening, or if you do not want to be invited for bowel cancer screening, you can contact the helpline. And we also have guides that have the information translated in other languages. Thank you, Binal. Yes, this is, and now I'll be taking you through breast cancer. As my team lead said earlier, breast cancer is more synonymous with women, but in some cases, men have also been diagnosed with having breast cancer. So this section, breast cancer and signs of lung cancer, it's a disease which grows in the breasts and grows out of control. There are different kinds of breast cancer, which in turn grows excessively. Next slide, please. Breast cancer screening. About 1 in 8 women in the United Kingdom are diagnosed with breast cancer during their lifetime. Early detection makes treatment more successful, and there's a good chance of recovery. And what is the test? It's an X-ray test called a mammogram that can spot cancer when they're very small to see or feel. And who are those tested? Women between the age of 50 to 71 years, and this is done every 3 years. Finding out about having a family history of cancer is very important for women to find out. If you're 71 and over, you will stop receiving screening invitations. You can still have a screening once you're over 71, but you have to arrange with your doctor or the local community. Breast cancer is often something that affects mostly women, but men in rare cases also have it. It grows in small amounts of breast tissue behind the nipples for men. It usually happens in men over 60, but can very occasionally affect younger men. There are about 350 men diagnosed each year in the United Kingdom for breast cancer, and there are 55,000 cases in women. About 1 in 100 men have breast cancer in the United Kingdom. Next slide, please. Breast screening. Women receive their breast screening invite when they're 50. This is just a picture of the mammogram machine that is used for the X-ray for the screening. This is a 5-point plan by the NHS. Be breast aware. Know what's normal for you, and it's recommended that look at your breasts and feel them regularly. know what changes to look out for, report any changes without delay, attending routine screening once you're 50 and over. Every person's breasts are different in terms of size, shape, and consistency. It is also possible for one breast to be larger than the other. Get used to know how your breasts feel at different times of the month. For women, this change occurs during their menstrual cycle. Some women have tender and lumpy breasts, especially near the armpits around the time of their period, while those experiencing menopause, the normal breast feels softer, less firm, and not as lumpy as it used to be. The NHS breast screening program has introduced the 5-point plan. Like I read before, be aware, know what's normal for you, report any changes without delay, attend your routine screening, and look at your breast and feel each of them up onto your collarbone. You may find this easier to do in the shower or in the bath. Look at your breast in the mirror with your arms by your side and also with your arms raised so you can know the difference. Next slide, please. In this slide, we'll just be showing you a picture of what it is. Like my team lead said, this doesn't necessarily have to be men, but we all have partners, we have mothers, we have daughters, we have nieces, and we have family members that are female. They might be complaining of some changes in their body. So it might be worth telling them, oh, can you have yourself checked on things like this? Because lots of people put this idea away that no, it can be, but it's just worth giving a try from all the information we give out. See a GP if you notice any of the following changes: change to the skin, a lump or swelling, a change in color or nipple change, a change in the size, outline of the shape, a change in the look or feel, such as puckering or dimpling, a new lump or thickening or bumpy area in one breast, which you don't experience in the other, nipple discharge that is not milky, bleeding from your nipple, a moist red area on your nipple that doesn't heal easily, any change or rash around the nipple, any pain or discomfort in one breast that doesn't go away. And like our mantra, we all know our body systems better than anyone else. If it's not normal for you, get it checked. Please don't delay visiting the GP. Next slide, please. Thank you. We have sources here of information and support. Breast cancer now, the causes of breast cancer, we have numbers for them, which people can ring up, or email addresses, which people can send messages to if they want to get some more information regarding breast cancer. Thank you for listening, and I'll hand you over to my colleague, Rakesh, for the next presentation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Rasheedah. I'm very glad to be back. We will now progress further. Now I will talk about lung cancer, causes, signs, and symptoms. I would like to draw your attention to the 4 important bullet points. Smoking is the biggest risk factor for lung cancer. 70% of cases are caused by smoking. Passive smoking, occupational exposure and pollution, and finally diesel. Lung cancer is one of the most common and serious types of cancer. Around 47,000 people are diagnosed with the condition every year in the UK. Smoking. Tobacco smoke contains more than 60 different toxic substances, which are known to be carcinogenic. That's cancer producing. Smoking cannabis has also been linked to an increased risk of lung cancer. Passive smoking. If you do not smoke, frequent exposure to other people's tobacco smoke, that's passive smoking, can increase your risk of developing lung cancer. Now we look at occupational exposure and pollution. Exposure to certain chemicals and substances which are used in several occupations and industries may increase your risk of developing lung cancer. These chemicals and substances include arsenic, asbestos, coal and coke fumes. Research also suggests that being exposed to diesel fumes over many years increases your risk of developing lung cancer. Right, next slide, please. Lung cancer causes, signs and symptoms. There are usually no signs or symptoms in the early stages. Very important to note down. Symptoms of lung cancer develop as the condition progresses. Right, now we look at the main symptoms of lung cancer in bullet points. A cough that doesn't go away after 2 or 3 weeks. A long-standing cough that gets worse. Chest infections that keep coming back. Coughing up blood. An acne or an ache or pain when breathing or coughing. Persistent breathlessness. Persistent tiredness or lack of energy. Loss of appetite or unexplained weight loss. Lung cancer is one of the most common and serious types of cancer. Around 47,000 people are diagnosed with the condition every year in the UK. Next slide, please. Right, now we look at less common symptoms of lung cancer. Changes in the appearance of your fingers, such as becoming more curved or their ends becoming larger. This is known as finger clubbing. So difficulty swallowing, that's dyspepsia or pain when swallowing. Wheezing, a hoarse voice, swelling of your face or neck, persistent chest or shoulder pain. Next slide, please. Okay, now you've heard this all before, but I cannot stress it enough, and I'll stress it again. If it is not normal for you, get it checked. Don't delay visiting the doctor. Right, now I'd like to to progress this presentation further, I would like to give this quiz now. Okay, right. Right, okay. Basically, which cancer, that's question 1, which cancer is by far the most common cause of cancer death in the UK? I would like you all to think about this. A, prostate cancer, bowel cancer, C, lung cancer, or D, breast cancer. Right. And the answer to this is lung cancer. So now this brings me to question 2. What are the free national cancer screening programs in the UK? Okay. A, breast, lung, and cervical cancers. B, sickle cell, Down's syndrome, and HIV. C, breast, bowel, and cervical cancers, or D, prostate, lung, and bowel cancers? The answer to this is C, breast, bowel, and cervical cancers. So now we look at question 3. What are the symptoms of bowel cancer? Very important. A, persistent, lasting more than 4 weeks cough. B, blood in the poo. C, abdominal pain, discomfort, or bloating. Or do you think it is D, all of the above? The answer to this is D, all of the above. This brings me to question 4. Okay, it says, what are the symptoms of breast cancer? A change in the size, outline, or shape of the breast. B, a new lump or bumpy area in one breast. C, bleeding from the nipple. Or D, all of the above. You've just heard Rasheedah talk about this. What do you guys think? Right? Any takers? Right. The answer is D, all of the above. Right. I would now like to give this presentation to my colleague who will progress it further.
Right, thank you, Rakesh. So I'm just going to talk to you quickly about the symptoms and the tests that are carried out to check for cervical cancer. Next slide, please. So we know why we screen to check on early signs of any changes in our bodies. And in this case, the cervix, which is the neck of the womb, they're looking for a particular virus that's present, the Hpv virus. And out of every 100 women screened for this, the majority will be fine. 100 women get screened, 6 are more likely to be called in for checks. The majority of those have nothing, well, two out of 4 will have nothing wrong, but 4 might need to go on for further tests, which might not necessarily be cancer, but there's a cause for concern. Next one, please. So women get invited for screening from the age of 25 up until the time that they are 65 years old. So the frequency varies, and when you're under 50, 25 to 50, you go every 3 years or every 3.5 years, and between 50 and 64 is every 5 years. Next one, please. The smear test is one in which a female clinician will insert an instrument known as a speculum into the vagina. It goes up to the neck of the cervix, and a plastic brush is used to take some cells, a small sample of cells from the cervix or the neck of the womb. Next one, please. So it's important for women and, well, for everyone, their partners, to be really vigilant about this, because the symptoms of the cancer are not necessarily evident in the early stages. But again, as with all these conditions, you want to look for any unusual changes that don't go away. And it's important, therefore, that you attend for your regular screening, because obviously our bodies are changing all the time. You can have a 3-year gap between screenings. Anything can happen in 3 years. So you need to keep looking out to make sure that everything is normal for you. Next one, please. For those of us who live with females, some of the symptoms of an early stage of cervical cancer, like we say, it's not very evident, so we just need to be really careful. Unusual bleeding outside of the normal time of monthly bleeds. An unpleasant vaginal discharge could be a sign. Discomfort during or pain during sex. Swelling of one of your legs. Bone pain, or a change in bowel habits. All of these are very general symptoms. They may not be cancer, but they might just be another reason to just be vigilant. Next one, please. So again, not normal, get it checked. Don't delay visiting the doctor. So just to summarize, we've given you a lot of information so far. And just to summarize, the National Cancer Screening Program, with this get screened for 3 cancers: bowel cancer that affects males and females, anyone with a bowel. And every 2 years over the age of 60, if you're registered with a GP, you will get invited, but you don't get invited, they will send you a kit in the post. And we've seen that we need to take the sample, not be squeamish, just take the sample and put it in the bottle and post it back, and you get your results in a couple of weeks. Breast cancer, women will get invited for screening, but we see that men also need to be vigilant as well. Cervical cancer, women aged 25 and over get invited at every 3.5 or 5 year intervals, depending on the age. Okay, so at this stage, we'll be pleased to know that we're getting towards the end, and I'm handing back to Rakesh to talk to you about prostate cancer. Rakesh. Rakesh, for prostate cancer. Rakesh, you unmute yourself.
Sorry, yeah, okay. Yes, hello. I would like to draw your attention to the 2 diagrams here. That's a normal prostate. You can see the location of the bladder, urethra, prostate tissue. On the right, you can see an enlarged prostate. You've got the bladder there again, narrowed urethra, increase in number of cells. So what everyone will be wondering is, what is the prostate? The prostate is a gland. It is usually the size and shape of a walnut and grows bigger as you get older. It sits underneath the bladder and surrounds the urethra, which is the tube that carries urine, wee, out of the body. The prostate's main job is to help make semen, the fluid that carries sperm. The most common prostate problems are an enlarged prostate, prostatitis, and prostate cancer. So, what is prostate cancer? Prostate cancer can develop when cells in the prostate start to grow in an uncontrolled way. Some prostate cancer grows too slowly to cause any problems or affect how long you live. Because of this, many men with prostate cancer will never need any treatment. But some prostate cancer grows quickly and is more likely to spread. This is more likely to cause problems and needs treatment to stop it spreading. Okay, next slide, please. Now, I'd like to draw your attention to the bullet points here. Who gets prostate cancer? Very important. Men age 50 and older. Ethnicity is important. Family history of prostate cancer. Being overweight or obese. Hormone levels, insulin growth. Other factors, at present, there's no clear evidence. So, risks and causes. Prostate cancer is not clearly linked to any preventable causes. Your risk of developing it depends on many things. These include age and ethnicity. We look at age now. Prostate cancer is more common in older men. Prostate cancer is most common in men aged 75 to 79 years. 1 in 6 men in the UK will get prostate cancer at some point in their lives. Now we look at ethnicity. Prostate cancer is more common in Black African men than white men. It is least common in Asian men. Family history and genes, very important. Your risk of prostate cancer is higher if you have a close relative, such as a brother or father, who has had prostate cancer. Some inherited genes can increase your risk of prostate cancer. These inherited genes are rare and account for only a small number of prostate cancers. Now, being overweight or obese. Obese means being very overweight. Try to keep a healthy weight by being physically active and eating a healthy, balanced diet. Researchers have found a link between being obese or overweight and cancers being higher grade. That means faster growing. There is some evidence that being active might help to lower your risk of developing prostate cancer. Briefly now, hormone levels. Hormone levels may play a part in the risk of developing prostate cancer. Now we look at the gray areas where there isn't clear evidence. Some factors might increase the risk of prostate cancer, but there is not enough evidence to be sure. These include vasectomy. Vasectomy is a way of sterilizing men and is a type of permanent birth control. Inflammation of the prostate. Inflammation of the prostate gland is called prostatitis. The evidence on whether prostatitis causes prostate cancer is mixed. Now, people don't think about this, but height. Some studies suggest that taller men have a higher risk than shorter men of getting a faster growing, that's high grade, prostate cancer, or prostate cancer that has spread. Now, not what we hear every day, but cadmium. Cadmium and cadmium compounds are possible causes of prostate cancer. Cadmium is a type of metal that is in tobacco smoke and food. Next slide, please. Now we will look at a short video, prostate cancer, signs and symptoms. Can we have the video, please?
When you have a prostate problem, it can produce some symptoms, and the most common symptoms that you may notice are urinary symptoms. For example, you may notice that you're having to get up during the night to go and have a pee, where previously that wasn't a problem for you. Or indeed, during the day, you may find that you're going a lot more than you used to go. And when you are there, perhaps it's taking you longer to start and for your bladder to start emptying. Afterwards, you may notice that you've got some dribbling afterwards, which might be a sign that your bladder's not emptying completely. Less common symptoms that men may experience are things like pain when they're passing urine or pain when they're ejaculating. Some of the possible reasons for these symptoms, and certainly one of the most common reasons we find in men as they get older, is where they have an enlarged prostate, and that squeezes on the urethra, the water pipe that runs from the bladder, and it can irritate the bladder and cause these sort of symptoms. There are other conditions such as infection in your prostate, which can also cause similar symptoms. And less commonly, prostate cancer may also give rise to these symptoms. But certainly what we do find is most of the time it's the first two conditions that are really causing it. It may also be that you've got some other health problem that can give rise to these kind of difficulties. And there are some common health problems such as diabetes or high blood pressure. Or it's not unusual to find that actually it may be due to something quite simple, such as you're drinking a lot of drinks with caffeine in them. I think the important thing that we would encourage men to do is don't ignore them. Don't just assume it's something to do with getting older and therefore nothing can be done about it, because certainly if you go along and see your own family doctor, he can do some quick tests, check you over, find out if you do have an infection, and it could just be that a short course of antibiotics, for example, can sort that out for you. Or he can give you some other treatment that would be helpful in reducing your prostate, for example. If you're at all unclear about talking to your GP about it, and many men tell us they are, then you can always ring us up on our helpline, and one of the specialist nurses will be more than happy to discuss it with you. For more information, speak to one of our specialist nurses on 0800 074 8383, or you can go to our website, prostatecanceruk.org.
I think there's a comment that the volume was too low, that people couldn't hear. Is there any way that we can increase the volume? We can always run it again. It's not a very long video. Is there any way to increase the volume on the video?
Hi, I'm sorry, I think it's as much as it can go. I can try it without headphones. Let me just do that and we'll see how it goes.
Okay.
When you have a prostate problem, it can produce some symptoms, and the most common symptoms that you may notice are urinary symptoms. For example, you may notice that you're having to get up during the night.
Sorry to interrupt, is that any better?
Not really.
What I can do, sorry for anyone that can't hear it, I can actually post a link in the chat. So if you did want to go in your own time and have a look at it, it's not too long. I do apologise for not being able to hear it.
Right, okay. Sorry, that will just have to suffice then. We could run it another time, and if you run another time and post the link as well, so that maybe second time around it will be you might catch it.
Sure. I'll just start from the beginning.
Yeah.
When you have a prostate problem, it can produce some symptoms, and the most common symptoms that you may notice are urinary symptoms. For example, you may notice that you're having to get up during the night to go and have a pee, where previously that wasn't a problem for you. Or indeed, during the day, you may find that you're going a lot more than you used to go. And when you are there, perhaps it's taking you longer to start and for your bladder to start emptying. Afterwards, you may notice that you've got some dribbling afterwards, which might be a sign that your bladder's not emptying completely. Less common symptoms that men may experience are things like pain when they're passing urine or pain when they're ejaculating. Some of the possible reasons for these symptoms, and certainly one of the most common reasons we find in men as they get older, is where they have an enlarged prostate, and that squeezes on the urethra, the water pipe that runs from the bladder, and it can irritate the bladder and cause these sort of symptoms. There are other conditions such as infection in your prostate, which can also cause similar symptoms. And less commonly, prostate cancer may also give rise to these symptoms. But certainly what we do find is most of the time it's the first two conditions that are really causing it. It may also be that you've got some other health problem that can give rise to these kind of difficulties. And there are some common health problems such as diabetes or high blood pressure. Or it's not unusual to find that actually it may be due to something quite simple, such as you're drinking a lot of drinks with caffeine in them. I think the important thing that we would encourage men to do is don't ignore them. Don't just assume it's something to do with getting older and therefore nothing can be done about it, because certainly if you go along and see your own family doctor, he can do some quick tests, check you over, find out if you do have an infection, and it could just be that a short course of antibiotics, for example, can sort that out for you. Or he can give you some other treatment that would be helpful in reducing your prostate, for example. If you're at all unclear about talking to your GP about it, and many men tell us they are, then you can always ring us up on our helpline, and one of the specialist nurses will be more than happy to discuss it with you. For more information, speak to one of our specialist nurses on 0800 074 8383, or you can go to our website, prostatecanceruk.org.
Thank you for that, Dina. Right. Now we've said it before and we'll say it again. If it's not normal for you, get it checked. Don't delay visiting the doctor. This is very important. That's why we keep on reiterating this. Now, what we'll have is a quiz. Everybody likes quizzes. Right. So this quiz now, question 5. We've just had this information, so it's fresh. How many lung cancer cases are caused by smoking? Is it A, 4 in 10, B, 5 in 10, C, 6 in 10, or D, 7 in 10? What do you guys think? You can put it down in the chat if you want the answer. The answer is, right, the answer is 7 in 10. Yep, that's it. Good. Someone's put it down. Yes, D. Now, question 6. Which of the following statements is false? A. Prostate cancer is usually diagnosed in men aged 50 years or older. B. Prostate cancer is the most commonly diagnosed cancer in England. C. Every 45 minutes, one man dies from prostate cancer in England. D. An enlarged prostate is a sure sign that you have prostate cancer. Okay. E. Prostate cancer is more common in Black African men than white men. It is least common in Asian men. I'll give you some time to respond and think about this. Right. The answers are B, prostate cancer is the most commonly diagnosed cancer in England, and D, an enlarged prostate is a sure sign that you have prostate cancer. These are the answers to that question. Now, this takes us to question 7. How is the health of the cervix screened? A, blood test. B, smear test. C, X-ray. Think about this. Okay, right, the correct answer is B, smear test. Okay, now this brings us to question 8 and the final question. At what age do women start getting invited for cervical screening? A, 18 years, B, 25 years, C, 30 years, D, 35 years. You may wish to put I'll give some people the chance to put the answers. Okay, it's looking good. Right, the answer to that is B, 25 years. Okay. Next slide, please, Binal. Right, now, book a cancer screening awareness session today for your networks or any community groups. Work within RCVS Community Cancer Champion. The way to book this is email olive@redbridgecvs.net. The telephone number is provided here. Make a booking. And also, I would like to say, for more information about cancer screening program and the signs and symptoms of lung and prostate cancers in English and in other community languages, such as Gujarati, Hindi, Bengali, Igbo, and Yoruba, contact Olive at redbridgecvs.net or telephone her on that number. There was a question here from somebody in the chat that do African and Black Caribbean men have greater chance of getting prostate cancer? Well, going by the statistics, unfortunately, yes. Anyone can. Statistics are higher for Black African and Caribbean men. Now, I would like to forward this presentation by giving it to my colleague, Olive, who will forward it. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you very much for sticking with us. It's been a long time, and we've given you lots of information. An opportunity for you to ask questions, and just looking at the chat, the ones in the chat. Sorry about the video with the low volume. We've never had that problem before. We haven't encountered that one before, but we can make the link available to you. We send that on to our contacts who can circulate that to you. That shouldn't be a problem. So we've answered the first question about Black men getting cancer. This is the case. Science, the statistics should bear that out. So Black men need to be particularly sensitive. Bear in mind too what we said in the beginning, that just because you experience those symptoms doesn't make it cancer. It can be an infection. It could be something as simple as having too much caffeine. But the main thing is that you get it checked. And you have different types of the cancer. It progresses at different rates. So again, another reason to just not worry, but get it checked. Don't know, were there any other questions? I think those were the main ones. Does prostate enlargement lead? Yeah, does prostate enlargement lead to prostate cancer? As the nurse explained in the video, the prostate gets larger as you get older. So it doesn't necessarily lead to prostate cancer. No, that's not true. Another reason to get it checked. So the answer to that question is no. Any other questions there? Especially for those of us who couldn't hear, like I said, we'll post the link. Olive, is there any reason why cancer screen is only limited to 3 types of cancer? Those are the 3 types of cancers. Those are the most common ones. Those are the ones that get diagnosed most often. Those are the ones that most people die from. Oh, reply privately, sorry. Sorry about that. But yeah, I think other people might want to know. They only screen for those 3 ones because those are the ones, where scientific evidence shows that the tests work, the screening tests work to actually reduce, you can detect the cancers, you can save lives. And those are the ones that a lot of people die from. If you look at lung cancer, for example, the death rates are really high for lung cancer. They don't screen for that. There is no screening test for it. But we have to talk about that one because you get symptoms when the cancer is advancing. And most people present really late, therefore they die. They come to the hospital too late so that nothing can be done for it. The other ones is because the scientific evidence shows that screening works in detection. Are there any other questions? People can unmute themselves and ask. We'll try and answer what we can. Is there any reason why cancer screening is only limited to 3 cap types that are prostate cancer science, right? So Binal has posted the link for the prostate cancer video, and that organization has a lot of information about prostate cancer. And similarly, if you do have queries about prostate cancer, you could try the Cancer Research UK website. Another question says, can you, oh my goodness, for some reason, can you insist on getting screened if your GP is reluctant to refer you? Well, I'm not too sure about the answer to that one. You can certainly, we've given some numbers that you can call if you are not the usual age for screening, or if you're particularly worried. There's some numbers there that you can ring for the breast screening, for the cervical screening. So in one sense, yeah, I'm sure your GP has to be involved at some stage, but you can ask, and there's no reason why your GP should resist you getting screened, should block you from doing that. But there are numbers that you can call directly if you are worried, if you are concerned, and yeah, take it from there. And if there are any other questions there. We want to ask for your help, and hopefully this won't take too long. If there are any other questions, please post them and we'll try and answer them. But as I said at the beginning, we kind of would like to ask for your help. Help us with some things that we need to do for our commissioners. We need to give them some feedback on these sessions, and we want to ask you to help us to trial just a live feeding back on what you've heard this evening. And so we want to ask you some questions and ask you to use the chat, your chat to respond to the questions. If you could send your comments, since this is confidential, we don't need to know your name or whatever. So I'm going to ask that if everyone who's responding, if you could send your comments to Binal in the chat. She's our technical person. If you could send your comments to Binal, and they're basically what we've been doing with the quiz. Just ask some questions, and if you could put the number of the question and your response, that would be really appreciated. Hopefully we can run through this really, really quickly. So this is just to check how the session has gone for you. Right, first question, we want to ask you, sorry, yeah, yes, Binal. Great. So if you could send your comments on question one. Question one is the session overall. Did you think that the session overall was poor, that it was average, that it was good, or that it was excellent? If you could just put question one, Q1, and just put what you thought. If you thought it was poor, if you thought the session was average, if you thought it was good or excellent, if you could send your comments to Binal right now, that would be appreciated. Thank you. Question 2, the session of the structure. The structure of the session. Wow. The structure of the session. We tried to put a lot of information to you. Was it poor? Did we get it right or did we not? Was it poor? Was it average? Was it good? Or was it excellent? If you could put 2, what you thought it was for that one. Next one, Binal, please. Question 3, the actual presentation. So we tried to give you a variety of presentations. We did the quiz, we did videos, we spoke the slides. Did you think that was poor? Did you think it was average, good, or excellent? Question 3. If you could say what you thought. We had a variety of presenters this evening. Did you think, how did you think we did? Did you think we were poor, we performed poorly? Did you think we were average performance, or were we good or excellent? A question for poor, average, good, or excellent. You could send your comments to Binal in the chat, that would be great. Next one, Binal. Question 5. Did you think that the information that we gave you was clear? Was it easy to understand? Yes or no? Did you understand what we were saying? Was it clear? Yes or no? Question 6. Did the session meet your expectations? Yes. We met your expectations. No, we didn't. Question 7. Will the session help you at all in any way? Will it help you? Yes or no? It won't help you in any way at all, which would be a pity, but please let us know if you think it wouldn't. Question 7, yes or no? Next one, please, Binal. So here's an opportunity for you to say what you liked about the session in your own words. Just give you a few seconds to just, what else did you like about the session? Question 8, what else did you like about the session? And just a few more seconds, and then we move on to question 9. Okay, question 9. How could the session have been better for you? How could we have made it better for you? Question 9. How could we have made past hour any better for you? And question 10. Well, I think we know how you heard about this event, so we can that will be other. So we skip question 10. 11. Are there any other health topics you'd like us to organize workshops or trainings on? Question 11. How are there any other health topics that you would want to find out about other than cancer that we could organize workshops or trainings on?
Second, please.
Okay, and finally,
One second.
Sorry.
1 second.
Sorry.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, and finally, this is the ethnic monitoring part of the presentation. So we just need you to say how you describe your ethnic origin, and on the assumption that most of us on this one will be, so it would be, yeah, how would you describe your origin? Is it African, other, Black background, other, Chinese, mixed? And next one, please, Dina. Gender, if you could say what your gender is and which age group you fall into. Age groups, the 16 to 25, 26 to 25. So yes, which age group do you fall into? And finally, do you consider yourself to have a disability, yes or no? And that's it, really. If there are no more questions, can we thank you so much for having us? If you need any more information, please contact me, email me, and I will endeavor to get in touch and respond.
Thank you so much, Olive and Rakesh and Rasheedah, and also being out for the presentation. I believe it's quite useful for our members, and really appreciate your time with us today. We hope probably to have you again to probably talk about maybe any other topics that have been suggested from one of the questions that you've asked. I can see someone actually suggested about heart diseases. Probably it might be something that you want to talk about maybe at another time. But it's been wonderful, and it's been quite insightful and informative as well. And we really appreciate your time, and we look forward to having you again next time.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And,
good evening.
Thank you.
Weekend.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thanks, bye.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Thank you. Jazakallah al-Aira to everyone.